So y'all remember the Rampage Jackson, Raja Jackson incident with Psycho Stu? Of course you guys remember. It was only a week and a half ago, if not even. My time measurements are bad. That was like about a week ago. Hey, but what? Week ago, like I don't know, like a week and a half ago, something like that. So Rampage Jackson has been responding to the hate and all the commentary and stuff, and there was a misinformation on the internet is very rampant now, and people are reporting that Rampage Jackson's son, Raja Jackson, the guy who body slammed Psycho Stu on his head and then punched him like 12, 13 times and had no intention of stopping at all, but somehow is not in jail right now, that Raja. Rampage Jackson responded to someone posting misinformation claiming Raja Jackson is about to be at another wrestling event. The internet's a really up place. Rampage Jackson said this in response. Then I'm going to play a video of Rampage Jackson addressing the situation. Rampage says, "This has gone too far. I'm sick of being quiet and letting all the low IQ people fall for clickbait. Yes, my son took things too far, and I'm pissed at him for being a POS and the way he handled it. But if Psycho Stu wasn't drunk and wouldn't have hit my son over the head with a real beer can while he was live streaming on his own stream, the Knox wouldn't have felt like they had to make things right by letting Roger get his get back in the ring. If my son would have just went to the police when the beer can incident happened, then the whole event could have gotten shut down and he could have sued. But no, my son is not as smart as I'd like for him to be. Now my family and I are getting racist threats because of all the misinformation being posted so content creators can get paid from viewers. People actually think my son snuck in a ring in front of a live audience and picked Psycho Stu up without permission to be there. Get smart, people. He only shook his hand and accepted Psycho Stu's drunken apology because they said he could get in the storyline. He was told he could F him up." So he goes on to say this. He says, "I have witnesses that say this isn't the first time that Psycho Stu had done some drunk-ish backstage to a fan. Now we have the backstory that my son attacked an innocent military vet with PTSD like my son knew everything about the man that came up from behind him and hit him, then asked him to sell it." Okay, he didn't hit him from behind. He hit him, like, straight up. Like, come on now. "I have other kids to protect, and I don't take kindly to threats. I'm not scared of prison or dying for my kids, and calling me names won't hurt my feelings. My son should face the consequences for going too far. He knows better. That's why he didn't tell me anything about the storyline. But Psycho Stu is lucky I wasn't there when he hit my son over the head with a beer can the day after he got a concussion from sparring the day before. I wouldn't have cared if a bunch of pro wrestlers would have jumped me. I'm a father first." Okay, here's my problem. Rampage Jackson has to acknowledge, and look, I don't blame Raja for being upset about the can incident, but dog, like, bro, Psycho Stu and these people at this event did not mean it that way. And I know it's hard for Rampage Jackson to say everything perfectly because you're a father and the internet's threatening your son and threatening your other kids and calling y'all racial slurs. And it's like, I want to acknowledge how bad my son effed up, but I also don't want to take these people's side against my son when he's dealing with all this pressure and so on and so forth. But man, that incident was not worth a fight. It was not worth a fight. Raja effed up. Psycho Stu fucked up by hitting him with the can, but Psycho Stu and everyone there at that event did everything in their power to make sure that Raja understood it wasn't meant that way. It wasn't meant that way. And Raja didn't just punch Psycho Stu in the face and break his jaw. No, Raja picked him up, slammed him on the back of his head, and then when Stu was unconscious, tried to kill him. Raja tried to kill Psycho Stu. He didn't give him a nasty little punch to the face and say, "Bitch." No, he kept punching and punching and punching and punching and punching and had zero intention of stopping until Psycho Stu was probably dead. Rampage Jackson, honestly, outside of telling people to stop threatening him and trying to quell the misinformation, needs to just be quiet after that. You sitting there saying you would have done this and done that to Psycho Stu for hitting your son over the head or whatever, bro. Dog, like, this is the problem, is this mindset of I gotta jump the gun and act a fool. I think Raja did a very good job of making it clear, I did not feel comfortable with you hitting me in the head with that can. We gotta talk about it. That was great that Raja did right then and there. The problem is, Raja let chat get into his head And Raja, with all due respect, I feel like has been constantly, belittled and humiliated and talked down to by Rampage Jackson. And Rampage has to come to terms with the fact and acknowledge the fact that, bro, your son clearly has identity issues, self-esteem issues, and you are the fucking source of it all. Before this man jumped in that ring and tried to kill Psycho Stu, he's sitting there talking about my dad can't call me no bitch. My dad can't call me no bitch. As he leaves the venue after almost killing a man, he's ranting and raving, I'm not no bitch, I'm not no punk, I'm not no pussy, I'ma stand up for myself, this, that, and the third, Man, who do y'all think he was talking about? Of course, chat was getting to him, but we know who Raja was talking about. He's talking about Rampage. And I bring all of that up because of this. Rampage talks about the incident on Kick. Crazy platform, by the way, but I guess, a dude like Rampage would probably get banned off of Twitch. I get it. Rampage is on Kick Live, and he's talking about the incident, and I don't entirely like the way he spoke about it because it's very indicative of why Raja did what he did.
Don't threaten me and my other kids, and we had nothing to do with none of this shit. Raja's a fuck up. He fuck up everything, so fuck that. I'm over the shit. You know what I'm focused on? I'm focusing on bettering myself and streaming for you guys and being a more positive person with more positive energy, because I like laughing, making people laugh. So I'm not gonna let this stuff bother me, but I'd rather go to prison than go to the morgue or bury one of my kids.
So my only thing I don't like about this is, bro, like, Rampage has to understand, but the way you talk to him, bro, like the belittling, the punking, the talking down, like, bro, your son obviously wants to be taken seriously. He wants to be treated like a man, and he doesn't want to be in your shadow. And when you're sitting there saying, man, Raja fucks everything up, he's a fuck up. Of course, Rampage is being silly and shit, but like, dude, your son doesn't think it's funny. And I wouldn't think it's funny either if I'm hearing it over and over and over and over and over again. I wouldn't find it funny after a certain point in time. I just wouldn't find it funny anymore. There's a time and a place for certain jokes, and there's a frequency for certain jokes. And frankly, I think certain jokes shouldn't have a frequency. They should have a one and done, Rampage, unfortunately, doesn't realize, like, dog, your son thinks that you think he's a loser, a bum, so on and so forth. He thinks he's in your shadow, you name it. And you can clearly tell that anger and frustration came out, and he took it out on Psycho Stu, thinking Psycho Stu, along with the rest of the world and his dad and chat, thinks he's a bitch. When in reality, Psycho Stu was actually, this Psycho Stu and these wrestlers actually, ironically enough, gave, like, Raja a clear sign of, like, yo, like, man, these dudes don't think you're a bitch, bro. This was a misunderstanding, and they apologized to you. They offered you an opportunity to get a little punch in, just to check them, just to give them a little receipt. They, Psycho Stu tried to shake your hand multiple times, even when you turned down the handshake before. Dude humbled himself, dog. You're 25. You could be his son. Psycho Stu don't got to sit there and he obviously should have, but he doesn't have to keep doing it over and over and over again. He still offered his hand, and you shook it. Still knowing in your mind that you planned on basically killing this guy, which is terrifying to think that this man literally sat there and shook that man's hand, thinking, I'm going to murder this man at this event in front of all of these people over nothing. And Rampage has to, at some point, acknowledge the fact that, like, dog, your son has an unhealthy perspective on what it means to be a man, what it means to solve issues between himself and other men, and it culminated in him almost murdering someone. And Psycho Stu is probably going to have psychological issues coming about as a result of that. He's probably going to have brain damage. Getting punched like that over and over and over again is it's not a cartoon. There's a reason why in MMA, when someone's knocked out stiff, the ref jumps in and immediately pushes the other fighter away. Because those repeated punches with no protection, no bracing, no nothing, it's going to give you brain damage. Psycho Stu is apparently a veteran who went to Afghanistan. Dude probably drove over a few IEDs and got brain damage from that. You add in the punches, that's probably going to make it even worse. There has to be some kind of acknowledgement from Rampage. Like, dog, your son, like, when you sit there and say, man, Raja fucks everything up, he's a fuck up. You don't think that him hearing that reinforces that behavior? You don't think that him hearing that, even if he doesn't want to fuck up, he might fuck up just from a place of raw emotion. My dad doesn't believe in me. My dad doesn't think I'm equal to or as capable as my Japanese siblings. That creates tension within the family in and of itself. You got the whole world coming down on y'all. And on top of that, your son probably feels like, man, like I'm a fuck up. I fuck everything up. Damn. Imagine you make a mistake like what Raja made. Not really a mistake, but you get my point. Imagine you fuck up the way Raja did. And let's say there's something inside of you is like, man, I know I did the wrong thing. And then you look up and your dad's like, man, he fucks everything up. It's like, God, like, bro, like, what do you like, bro? You know what I mean? Like, bro, like you over there trying to make a change and you trying to find God like Kanye told that producer to do back in 2021. Stop texting. Don't come back until you found God, right? You're trying to find God and shit, and then you see a clip of your dad on fucking Kick with a white man wig on talking about my son fucks everything. I'm just like, oh my God, bro. Oh, man. I understand why Rampage, like on social media, isn't entirely like shitting on Raja completely. It's his son. Like I get it. He's obviously gonna sit there and try his best to defend his son and shit like that. It is what it is. Rampage has acknowledged the fact that his son fucked up. He acted like a piece of shit. You name it. I think Rampage understands that his son did the wrong thing. But what Rampage has to acknowledge is like, that your son had a fucking episode, dog. He had a fucking psychological, whatever the fuck is, psychotic break, bro. That nigga, all of the stuff that you've been putting in his head, bro, it fucking cracked it cracked him in that moment, bro. Chat in his ear, you calling him, you get beat up by a bunch of dudes in some underwear. It's not a joke to him. And I can't blame him because I'm not, bro. It seems like this is a recurring theme for him. So at some point, it ain't funny no more. It's easy for us to laugh because it's like, we're not in his shoes. But for him in that moment, it probably is very, very annoying to have to constantly relive and relitigate. So, it is what it is. Hopefully Rampage can realize, man, the toxic masculinity has got to be addressed, man. We as modern, pop culture, we gotta do better, man. We gotta do better. So it is what it is. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok as well. Follow me on TikTok, share my TikToks. I'm trying to get big on TikTok. Okay? If I get big on TikTok, everything else blows up. You check? So be sure to help me out on TikTok. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.